Hi, this is Kent Sanders from the Artist's Suitcase, and I want to talk to you a little bit today about 4 mistakes I made with my first book launch. Recently, I put a book on my blog as a free giveaway, and also I made it available on the Kindle platform. And although I think the book launch went pretty well, there are some mistakes that I made and some things that I learned along the way. So, my goal in this very brief video is to review some of the things that I will do better with next time, but more importantly, to give you some things to watch out for when you do your own book launch if you decide to do that in the future, and some things to avoid if possible. Now, just a word of caution. Number one, my handwriting is not too good, so I will do my best to write legibly and neatly. And number two, this is my first whiteboard video, so let's see how this goes. I'm going to frame this in terms of several misjudgments that I made. Okay, and the first misjudgment was, number one, I made a misjudgment of enthusiasm. What I mean by that is that whenever you're engaged in a project, whenever you're doing something that's really exciting to you, it's easy to think that everybody else in the world is as equally excited about the project as you are. And this was my first ebook, and granted, it was a short one. It was something that was not very long, but to me, it was one of the most exciting things that have happened for a long time, because for years I've been talking about publishing a book and putting it on Amazon, putting it on Kindle. Even though this was just a little short thing, to me it meant a lot. But what's funny is that people who I would talk to about it and tell them, hey, I'm doing a book launch and all this, they just didn't seem quite as excited about it as I was. And this was a critical mistake that I made, because I just thought, hey, everybody's going to be so excited about this, but that was not really the case. And what I needed to do is I needed to temper my own expectations about this whole process, because people by nature, including myself, are self-centered, and everybody is thinking about themselves most of the time. So for instance, if somebody tells me, hey, I'm doing this really cool project, I wouldn't be as excited about it as they would be. So that's a kind of a minor mistake that I made, is just assuming that everybody else was going to be really, really excited about this. But not a huge mistake. Let's go on to number two. The second misjudgment I made about this book launch was a misjudgment of priorities. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that I tended to focus probably too much on details that didn't matter quite as much as other things that were more important. For instance, I'm very much a detail person, and it's easy for me to spend time on little nitpicky items like, let's say, the book cover. Now, book covers are very important, but I tend to just nitpick everything to death and spend too much time on little tiny, tiny details. Another thing that I do is I tend to obsess over every little detail. Now, details are important, but I should have spent more time focusing on connecting with people, uh, deciding how I was going to get the word out about this, building a launch team, and all those sort of things. So I got my priorities a little bit out of whack, but my personality sort of lends itself to that, and I have to really watch out for that. Let's go on to number three. The third misjudgment I made was a misjudgment of, hold on one second here, okay, was a misjudgment of time. This was probably the most critical mistake that I made. What I mean by this is that I really didn't allow myself enough lead time in this whole project, because I didn't understand how many glitches and hiccups there would be. Even with a small ebook like this one, there were a lot of glitches that I had to work through. For instance, some things that I had to go back and fix multiple times are links to the wrong pages that were in the book. Just mistakes that I had made in the book. I needed to go back and double check all those. Another one that was kind of a surprise to me is that I use a Mac, and what was interesting to me is that on a Mac, when you use an Office program like, let's say, Word or PowerPoint, something like that, whenever you put a hyperlink in a Word document or a PowerPoint file and you save those files as a PDF file, the only way that that hyperlink will be active in that PDF is if it has the ubiquitous HTTP in front of it. If it does not have that, the hyperlink will not be active. So what I had to do is I had to transfer those documents from my Mac to my old desktop PC and open them there, and then save those as PDFs, and then it all would work fine. Now, maybe there's a workaround to this, but I surely couldn't find it, and it was kind of a frustrating thing. Not a huge time waster, but nevertheless something that was a small hiccup. Something else that takes time is going back and correcting typos. All these things took more time than I thought they would. Let's go on to mistake number 4, which was, sorry about this, here we go. Number 4 was a mistake of value. I would put it that way, a misjudgment of value. One thing that I did that I didn't even realize I was doing with this book is I kept apologizing for it. I would talk to people about this book, and I would frame it in terms of, oh, this is just a small ebook, it's just a giveaway book, it's a small manifesto thing, it's really not a big deal. And I was almost kind of apologetic for it, which was not really helpful because it sort of gave the impression that I was embarrassed by it, or that I thought it wasn't very valuable, or that I thought it was poor quality, or it was just something that I threw together, which was not the case at all. I worked very hard on this, even though it was pretty short. But someone pointed out to me that I was doing this, and I hadn't even realized it. So, if you don't think that what you're doing is valuable, then surely nobody else will think it's valuable. So you are the first person that has to believe in the value of what you're doing. Even if it's something short, even if maybe you think other people won't take it seriously, none of that matters. The question is, do you think it's valuable? Are you proud of what you're doing? Are you excited about it? And that's the very first thing. So don't apologize for it. If you're putting something out there like a book or music or artwork or whatever it is, make sure that you're excited about it and that you're not apologetic about it. And if you are apologetic about it, why are you apologizing for it? What needs to be fixed? What needs to be made better and improved on it? So these are 4 mistakes that I made in my recent book launch. Hopefully you can learn some things from this. If you want to know more about publishing on Kindle, I recently put a podcast episode up about this. You can go to Artist's Suitcase, obviously without the apostrophe, artistsuitcase.com/019 for episode 19, and that episode is about 10 reasons to publish a book on Kindle. So hopefully this is helpful for you. Thanks.